Hey there, John Morris here, johnmorrisonline.com. Welcome back to another episode of The John Morris Show. So the big idea behind this video, there is a particular kind of data, right? Whenever you have a problem or you want to achieve something and you want to have success doing something, it always ultimately comes down for us human beings as information and knowledge to be able to then take that and act and do the right things and take the right actions in order to be able to get what we want. So it ultimately always comes down to information, but not all information is created equal. And there is one particular kind of data that will lead you to begin to trust your own instincts and your own tuition and eradicate a lot of the fears about whether you're capable, you have what it takes, or you're able to figure out for yourself the right steps that you need to take. It's going to eradicate all that, allow you to trust your own instincts, and ultimately be able to more quickly get the things that you want because it is the absolute best kind of data, bar none, far and away, than any other sort of information or knowledge that you can learn. So in this episode, we're going to go through that, talk about what that kind of data is, and then how you can go about consistently getting access to it. Now, before I do that, I do want to hear from you, because in this episode, I'm going to tell you my story and some of the insecurities that I dealt with and what I did to get over those. But I want to hear your story. What are some of the things that you've dealt with? Are you still dealing with those things, or what did you do to get over it? I love to hear what you've been through and your story. So let me know in the comments below, or you can shoot me an email at support@johnmorrisonline.com. Also, to couple along with this episode, I want to recommend one of my YouTube videos to you, because it's one of the more impactful ones when it comes to this topic that I've done, that I get people that still email and tweet at me about, that has really affected them, and they've said that it really changed their approach to everything. The name of the video is How Fear Can Kill Your Coding Career. You'll be able to find that on the show notes page for this episode at johnmorrisshow.com/309. If you are watching on YouTube, I'll put it in the button right at the top right for you to be able to just click over on there. But again, johnmorrisshow.com/309. So let me tell you my story a little bit here. And this happened several years ago, as I think right around the end of 2016, about December of that year. I was in a good groove with podcasting and making these videos and so forth. And for me, this has sort of been, I've had a lot of, or dealt with a lot of insecurity when it comes to making these episodes and making YouTube videos and so forth, because it's something, I'm naturally an introvert. I'm naturally someone who this sort of thing is uncomfortable as it is. And so when I put myself out like this, any sort of negative feedback can really have an effect on me. And so I was at a point where I felt like I was sort of trusting my intuition. I felt like I was going down a good path. I was getting in a groove. And then I got this comment, and the basic gist of the comment was, "Hey, I like the show. I appreciate you putting out all this information, all that. But it sort of seems like you're talking about the same thing over and over again." And it was a fairly innocent comment, and it wasn't super derogatory or anything like that. But for some reason, that threw me for a loop. It just brought back all of those insecurities and all of those doubts and all of the fears about, everything that I had when it came to doing this. And you can go back and look at the archive. You'll see right around that time, I stopped making videos for about 3 or 4 months. And it was because of this comment. It really threw me for a loop. And so I was kind of sitting there trying to figure out what I was going to do and how, what approach I should take and how I should change things up, and just sort of dealing with all of this. And I happened to be listening to this, actually a political podcast I listened to. So it had nothing to do with business or YouTube or anything like that. But he had on a guy named Ben Settle, who's a really well-known email marketer, teaches people email marketing. I've since bought some of his products, and the guy's just amazing, but I had never heard this guy speak before. And the podcast host was sort of asking about email marketing and this idea of, feedback from your subscribers and listening to your subscribers. And it was funny because this Ben Settle basically said, "Well, screw my subscribers. I don't really care what they think." And that just it took me back. It took the podcast host back. He was like, "Wait, what?" Because when you come up doing this, you're sort of you're sort of taught that the really big thing is to really dive in and figure out what your audience wants and what they're after and so forth. And this guy was like going the total opposite way. And his point was, he said, look, I've been doing email marketing for most of my life. I've been a copywriter. I've worked on super successful projects. I have a whole history that proves and shows that I know what the hell I'm doing when it comes to copywriting and email marketing. So why am I going to listen to some yahoo who's been email marketing for all of 2 or 3 months? And that point really just sort of struck me because I felt like my story was a little similar. By that point, I had been a developer for almost 10 years. I'd worked on project after project after project. I'd worked full-time from home for a number of years up to that point. I'd worked on big projects for Inc. magazine and Tim Ferriss and Ray Edwards and Lewis Howes and all these really well-known people. And here I was getting thrown for a loop by some guy who maybe had been coding for all of 2 or 3 months. Like, why the hell was I going to let that happen? And it sort of snapped me out of the funk that I was in. And I got back up into making videos and trusting my own instincts more and realizing, look, I don't know everything, but I know what I know, and I'm just going to share what I know. And I'm not going to let someone who maybe has been coding for 6 months or a year tell me what I should be teaching or what I should be talking about, because I feel like with my experience, I probably have a better sense of what that person needs to learn, the approach they need to take, and so forth. And so it gave me a lot more confidence in just trusting my own instincts. So the moral of the story here isn't that I know everything and I screw everybody else. I don't need to listen to anybody or this, that, the other. The moral of the story really is to trust your own instincts, to trust your own tuition, and then do what you need, do what's necessary to feed those instincts, to get that experience, to hone them and get them to the point where you become really, really confident in them. Now, like I said, that doesn't mean that you just don't listen to what anybody else has to say and you block yourself off from all other information. Really, it's the exact opposite. Like, you want to cram in as much data as you can. Your instincts need that data. They feed on it. That's what helps make them better. The better information you get, the more accurate those instincts and that intuition is going to be. But the way instincts work is they feed off of data. You pile a bunch of information in, and then your brain just sort of molds it over and eventually has sort of a snap insight or a snap integration where you have an idea, you have a approach about how you want to do something and so forth. And then you have to trust it to just go with it and follow it, even if it doesn't necessarily 100% work out the way that you want it to. The reason why, and this sort of gets into how we actually go about developing more trust in our instincts and getting access to this data that is absolutely crucial for us getting what we want out of life. The reason why is because even if you fail, that failure is data back to you. It tells you something about the idea that you had, that your instincts, your intuition, and helps make those instincts and that intuition sharper. And that is the most crucial data that you can get access to. Failures and successes are how you get that data, but it only works if you trust your own ideas, your own instincts. Because if you follow someone else's pattern or path or steps or whatever, and it fails, well, that's their fault. It's not mine. That's their problem, not mine. Whereas if you trust your own instincts, now it's obvious to you that it was some sort of mistake in your own thinking, and now you have to correct it. And that's what makes you better. That's what makes you more confident. That's what's going to ultimately lead to you getting what you want out of life, to being a more successful developer. So again, it's not that you don't take in data. You take in data. You try to find the best data. You take in as much as you can. But at the end of the day, you make your own decisions about the path that you're going to take, about the actions that you're going to take, about the route that you're going to follow. And you have to, in order to get access to that most important, crucial failure success data that's going to make you better. And at the end of the day, the failures, the successes, all of that starts to fall away. And what matters is you getting better, because the better you get, the more success you're going to have. Success just becomes a sort of natural result of growth and of bettering yourself. So that's the approach that I want you to take, that I recommend you take. And it all comes back to trusting your own instincts. Now, like I said, the amount of data, the kind of data that you get access to is important in all of this. And so one of the questions becomes, well, where do I find good data? Where do I get access to this sort of information and so forth? And so one of the things I want to recommend to you is to become a supporting listener of the show over on Patreon. First and foremost, you're going to be supporting me. I would appreciate that. You're going to allow me to continue to put out this information to you on a daily basis. So if you find value in that, then I want to ask you to support me, to allow me to continue to do this. But beyond that, you're also going to get access to all of my courses, PHP courses, object-oriented programming, Upwork, my login script, getting clients, getting hired for tech jobs. All of the information that I've put out over the years, you're going to get access to all of it, plus anything I put out in the future. It's literally an all-access pass to everything that I have, and to tons and tons of data that you can then cram into your brain. Stuff that you probably never even heard of that I've created and put out is over there. So it's just going to be, a really big source of data that you can cram into your head to help you fine-tune and hone those instincts, along with, again, supporting me and allowing me to continue to put this information out for you on a daily basis. So again, if you want to learn more about that, you can go to johnmorrisonline.com/Patreon. All the details of what you're going to get and all that you can find over there. Again, johnmorrisonline.com/Patreon. All right, that'll do it for this episode. If you liked the episode, be sure to hit the like button. If you haven't yet subscribed, I'd appreciate if you do that. Also, be sure, if you're on YouTube, make sure and hit that bell button, turn on all notifications so you actually get notified when I put out a video, not be subject to evil YouTube's whims or whatever. Also, if you want to access the past episodes, links to subscribe on Android, iTunes, TuneIn, all that, you can find that at johnmorrisshow.com. And finally, if you'll rate and review the podcast, I'll give you Module 1 of my PHP 101 course for free. All the details on how to get that module you can find at johnmorrisshow.com. Just click on the Start Here link at the top. All right, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.